How kindness will destroy your life. Is kindness always the gift we believe it to be? Could this revered virtue ever become a vice that quietly disrupts our lives? In a world that applauds selflessness and generosity, we're often led to believe that the path to happiness is paved with acts of kindness. But what if this path has hidden turns that lead us away from our own well-being? Today, we're going to explore a seldom discussed aspect of kindness, its potential to harm those who give too much. Kindness is universally praised and encouraged, often seen as the hallmark of a good person. It's a fundamental aspect of many moral teachings, including Stoicism, which values virtues like wisdom and moderation. However, Stoicism also teaches us the importance of balance. It warns that even the most positive traits, including kindness, can have negative repercussions when taken to extremes. This Stoic perspective invites us to examine how unbalanced kindness can not only hinder our personal growth, but also lead to a series of unintended consequences. Today, we're delving into the surprising ways that kindness, especially when it lacks boundaries or discernment, can negatively impact our lives, from the erosion of self-care to the complexities of human relationships. We'll uncover how excessive generosity can sometimes lead us down a path of emotional and mental turmoil. Let's embark on this journey together, examining each aspect with a critical eye and uncovering the 11 unexpected ways kindness could be doing more harm than good. 1. Emotional drainage. Let's delve into the first of the 11 ways kindness can unexpectedly lead to personal harm: emotional drainage. It's a term we often hear, but what does it truly mean in the context of kindness? Imagine this. Day after day, you're there for everyone else, listening, supporting, giving. It's a noble act, but over time this constant giving starts to take its toll. You begin to feel a sense of exhaustion that no amount of sleep can cure. This isn't just physical tiredness, it's an emotional depletion, like a well that's been drawn from too much and too often. You find yourself running dry. This kind of emotional drainage doesn't happen overnight. It builds up slowly and insidiously. At first, you might not even notice it. You might brush it off as just a bad day or tell yourself that this is what it means to be a good person. But deep down, something has shifted. You're not just tired, you're emotionally spent. And the worst part? You might not even realize that it's your constant kindness, your perpetual state of giving. That's the root cause of this exhaustion. The Stoics warned about the dangers of losing oneself in the service of others. They understood that while generosity is a virtue, losing oneself in this generosity can lead to a loss of personal vitality and joy. They advocated for a balance, a harmony between helping others and nurturing one's own inner well-being. This is a lesson that's even more relevant today. In our eagerness to be seen as kind, we often forget to be kind to ourselves, leading to a state of emotional drainage that can sap the very joy and fulfillment we seek in life. 2. Being taken for granted. Moving on to the second way kindness can backfire. Let's talk about being taken for granted. Picture this. You're the go-to person for everyone's problems. Need a favor? You're there. Need a listening ear? You're the first one called. It feels good to be needed, right? But there's a flip side. Slowly, your kindness becomes something others expect. A given. Your willingness to always be there, to always help out, starts to be taken for granted. When you're constantly kind and always available, it can set a precedent. People begin to assume you'll always say yes, always put their needs before your own. It's not that they're necessarily bad people. It's just human nature to adapt to the patterns we encounter. And the pattern you've set is one of perpetual availability and support. But what does this mean for you? It means your time, your needs, and sometimes even your identity can get lost in the mix. The Stoics believed in the value of self-respect and maintaining one's character. They'd argue that being taken for granted is a sign that the balance has tipped too far. It's a signal that it's time to reevaluate your boundaries, to remember that respect from others often starts with self-respect. Now take a moment to reflect. Have you ever felt that your kindness has led to being taken for granted? Have you found yourself in situations where your generosity of spirit has become an expectation rather than a choice? This is a crucial point to ponder as we navigate the intricate dance of kindness and self-respect. 3. Neglecting self-care. The third way kindness can lead to self-destruction is through neglecting self-care. It's a concept we often hear about, but in the hustle of being kind and caring for others, it's easy to overlook. Here's the scenario. You're so busy attending to everyone else's needs, their problems, their demands, their happiness, that you forget about your own. You skip meals, miss out on rest, and ignore the activities that bring you joy, all in the name of being kind and helpful. But here's the catch. This neglect doesn't just affect you physically. It takes a toll on your mental and emotional well-being. You start to lose touch with what makes you, your hobbies, your passions, your quiet moments of reflection. All these take a back seat. And in the long run, this can lead to a sense of loss, a feeling of emptiness where your sense of self once was. Stoicism teaches the importance of self-care, not as an act of selfishness, but as a necessary foundation for a good life. The Stoics believed in caring for the self not just to function but to thrive. They knew that neglecting self-care in the pursuit of helping others is like trying to fill cups from an empty pitcher. Now, as we pause for a moment, I invite you to think about a crucial question. When was the last time you truly put yourself first, indulging in self-care or pursuing your own interests? Reflect on this, and if you're comfortable, share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experiences can shed light on how we often overlook our own needs in the pursuit of kindness. Engaging with each other's stories can be a powerful way to find balance. 4. Manipulation by others. Moving on to the fourth way, kindness can inadvertently harm us. Manipulation by others. This is a tough reality to face, but it's crucial to recognize. In our efforts to be kind, we sometimes attract individuals who don't see our kindness as a virtue, but as an opportunity. These people, knowingly or unknowingly, might exploit our willingness to help for their own benefit. It begins subtly, small favors, little requests, seemingly innocent dependencies. But over time, it escalates. You find yourself constantly bending over backward, fulfilling needs and wants that aren't your own, often at your expense. This manipulation isn't always obvious, and that's what makes it so insidious. You think you're just being kind, but in reality, you're being taken advantage of. The Stoic philosophy warns us about such situations. It teaches the importance of discernment, understanding when our acts of kindness are truly helpful, and when they're enabling others to shirk their own responsibilities or exploit our generosity. Stoicism isn't about being unkind. It's about being wise with our kindness. So take a moment to reflect on your interactions. Have there been times when your kindness was mistaken for weakness? Have you ever felt used after extending a helping hand? These experiences are not uncommon, and acknowledging them is the first step toward ensuring your kindness is both wise and well-placed. 5. Loss of personal identity. The fifth way kindness can lead to unexpected consequences is through the loss of personal identity. This happens when we become so engrossed in the act of giving and being there for others that we start losing touch with who we are. Our identity slowly starts to revolve around being the caregiver, the supporter, the helper. While these are commendable roles, they can overshadow other aspects of our personality and life. It's like wearing a mask that becomes more and more difficult to take off. We begin to define ourselves solely through our acts of kindness and generosity. Our interests, desires, and aspirations take a back seat, and the roles we play in others' lives take the front. This loss of personal identity is not just about neglecting hobbies or personal goals. It's about forgetting what makes you unique, what sparks joy within you that's unrelated to helping others. Stoicism teaches us about the importance of self-awareness and living a life true to our nature. It's not just about what we do for others, but also about nurturing our true selves. When our identity becomes solely about giving, we risk losing the essence of who we are. As we pause here, I want to ask you a different kind of question. Are there parts of your life or aspects of your personality that have been overshadowed by your constant acts of kindness? Maybe a hobby you've set aside or a dream you've put on hold. Reflect on this, and if you're comfortable, share in the comments how finding a balance between kindness and personal identity has been for you. It's these insights from each of you that enrich our conversation and help us all grow. 6. Imbalance in relationships. In exploring the sixth way kindness can be detrimental, we delve into the realm of imbalance in relationships. This often unseen consequence emerges when our continuous acts of kindness lead to a lopsided dynamic. In such scenarios, you might find yourself always on the giving end, constantly pouring energy and support into relationships where reciprocity seems like a distant concept. These one-sided relationships can be emotionally draining. They often leave you feeling more like a utility rather than a valued participant. It's not just about the physical acts of giving. It's about emotional investment, time, and effort. When these are not reciprocated, it leads to an unhealthy imbalance that can weigh heavily on your emotional well-being. Stoicism teaches us the value of mutual respect and balance in relationships. It highlights the importance of not losing ourselves in our generosity and maintaining a healthy equilibrium where giving and receiving are harmonious. So as we move forward, it's worth reflecting on the nature of our relationships. Ensuring that there's a balance in how much we give and receive can be the key to healthier, more fulfilling interactions. 7. Financial strain. The seventh way kindness can unexpectedly impact our lives is through financial strain. This particular issue arises when our desire to help and give generously extends into the financial realm, sometimes beyond our means. It's one thing to offer emotional support or dedicate your time. It's another to frequently reach into your wallet to assist others. Generosity, especially in financial matters, is often seen as a hallmark of kindness. However, when this generosity surpasses our financial capacity, it can lead to significant strain. You might find yourself overcommitting to donations, constantly picking up the tab, or lending money with little hope of return. While these actions are undoubtedly kind, they can also lead to financial instability in your own life. Stoicism reminds us of the virtue of prudence, the wise management of our resources, including finances. The philosophy advocates for a balanced approach to life where generosity does not lead to personal detriment. It's important to remember that being financially responsible and secure allows you to be kind and supportive over the long term, rather than risking your own financial health in the short term. It's crucial, therefore, to consider our financial boundaries when we give. Are we giving within our means, or are we sacrificing our financial stability in the name of kindness? Finding this balance is key to ensuring that our acts of generosity are sustainable and don't lead to personal financial distress. As we navigate through these complex layers of kindness and its impact, if you're finding value in this exploration, please take a moment to hit the like button. Your support helps in sharing these important insights with more people and fosters a wider discussion. If you haven't already, consider subscribing for more content like this. Now let's continue with our 8th point in understanding how kindness can paradoxically lead to challenges in our lives. 8. Resentment building. The 8th way kindness can unexpectedly backfire is through resentment building. This subtle yet profound effect often creeps in unnoticed. It starts small, maybe a slight feeling of annoyance or a fleeting thought that your efforts aren't being appreciated. But over time, these feelings can grow, turning into resentment. When you're always the one giving, always extending kindness without bounds, it's natural to hope for some level of appreciation or reciprocation. But when this doesn't happen, when your efforts seem to go unnoticed or are simply expected as the norm, it can lead to feelings of being undervalued or exploited. This is where kindness, instead of being a source of joy, becomes a breeding ground for bitterness. Resentment can be particularly damaging because it often resides beneath the surface. It can alter how you perceive your relationships and interactions, casting them in a negative light. The Stoics were aware of such human tendencies and advised mindfulness in our actions and expectations. They taught that virtue, including kindness, should be its own reward, not contingent on external validation. However, they also emphasized the importance of balancing selflessness with self-respect. So it's essential to check in with ourselves. Are our acts of kindness leaving us feeling fulfilled or fostering hidden seeds of resentment? Recognizing and addressing these feelings early on can prevent them from overshadowing the positive aspects of our generous actions. 9. Lack of genuine reciprocity. The 9th way in which kindness can have unintended negative consequences is the lack of genuine reciprocity. This occurs when we extend kindness with an underlying expectation of similar kindness in return, only to find ourselves disappointed. It's a human tendency to hope for reciprocity in our interactions, but when this expectation is consistently unmet, it can lead to feelings of disillusionment and sadness. In practicing kindness, we sometimes unconsciously keep a mental ledger, noting our acts of generosity and subconsciously expecting them to be returned in kind. However, the reality is that not everyone operates with the same principles or values. Some people might not have the capacity or the inclination to reciprocate the kindness they receive. This mismatch between expectation and reality can be disheartening. The The Stoics advised against attaching our peace of mind to the actions of others. They taught that the only thing we truly have control over is our actions and reactions, not those of others. Therefore, they would counsel practicing kindness for its own sake, without the expectation of return, as true virtue lies in the act itself, not in its reciprocation. It's important to periodically reflect on our motivations for being kind. Are we doing it unconditionally, or are we harboring expectations of reciprocation? Recognizing and adjusting our expectations can lead to a more fulfilling practice of kindness, free from the burden of seeking reciprocity. 10. Ignored personal goals. Let me share a bit of my own story when we talk about the 10th point, ignoring personal goals. Like many of you, I had dreams and ambitions. There were things I passionately wanted to achieve, goals that were close to my heart, but over time I noticed a change. These personal ambitions started to take a back seat. The reason? I found myself consistently putting the needs of others ahead of my own aspirations. Every time an opportunity came up for me to advance towards my dreams, I'd sideline it, choosing instead to assist someone else. It became a pattern, almost a reflex, to place myself last. This personal experience isn't unique. It's a narrative shared by many who, in the pursuit of being kind, inadvertently sideline their own dreams. The Stoics, whose teachings I've long admired, stress the importance of pursuing our true nature and realizing our personal king. They teach that forsaking our own goals doesn't just hinder our growth, but can also limit how effectively we contribute to the world around us. So, as I share this part of my journey with you, I invite you to reflect on your own journey. Are there personal aspirations that you've been neglecting in the name of kindness? Remember, finding a balance between supporting others and pursuing your own dreams is not just possible, but vital for a truly fulfilling life. 11. Mental health risks. The 11th and final way kindness can have unintended consequences is through mental health risks. This aspect is particularly crucial to acknowledge as it often remains hidden beneath the surface. In our efforts to be continuously kind and giving, we inadvertently expose ourselves to increased stress, anxiety, and in some cases, even depression. The root of this lies in the emotional toll that constant giving and selflessness can take. When we're always focused on the needs and problems of others, we might start internalizing these stresses. Over time, this relentless outward focus can lead to a buildup of internal pressure. The result? We find ourselves grappling with heightened anxiety, unmanageable stress levels, and, in severe cases, a descent into depression. In the pursuit of kindness, it's easy to forget that our mental health needs attention and care. Stoicism, while advocating for virtue and selflessness, also emphasizes the need for self-awareness and emotional resilience. It teaches us that neglecting our mental well-being in the service of others is not sustainable and can be detrimental in the long run. So, as we conclude this exploration, it's vital to consider how our acts of kindness are affecting our mental health. Are we taking enough time to recharge, to process our emotions, and to care for our mental well-being? It's a crucial aspect of ensuring that our kindness towards others doesn't become a source of harm to ourselves. As we reflect on the delicate balance of kindness in our lives and its unexpected repercussions, remember that this journey of understanding doesn't end here. If you're looking for more insights into how to cultivate a life of balance and tranquility, I recommend watching our video, 10 Toxic Mindsets to Leave Now for Stoic Peace. It's a deep dive into transforming our thought patterns for a more peaceful and fulfilling life, perfectly complementing what we've discussed today.